So at this time, when you think the vote of thanks is almost done, I actually have a very special treat for you. Sanjay Subrahmanyan has been very, very gracious, and he's accepted to do a little Q&A with us. So, and we call it, ta-da, the person behind the persona. So the whole idea here is, we know Sanjay Subrahmanyan is the big Carnatic star. People flock to his kacheris. But who is this person? How does he think? What makes him tick? So that's what we'll be doing the next few minutes. And sir, thank you so much for being such a sport. So maybe we start off with something that's a true hallmark of Sri Sanjay Subrahmanyan. We all know that you love old songs and ragas. The fact that you like to blow off the dust and remove the cobwebs and shine light on those, rare compositions. Some people have called it data mining. Some people have called you, musical archaeologist. But I think it's a lot more fun to call you the Indiana Jones of Carnatic music. Seriously, think about it, right? I mean, he goes treasure hunting, looking for those real treasures of Carnatic music. But what drives you? What motivates you to go there?
Well, I wouldn't mind Harrison Ford's paycheck. And I hope I'm not being made a museum piece either.
Come on. But seriously, what drives you? I mean, where's this passion coming from?
Well, the first thing is all you people sitting here and willing to go through what I'm doing. That's the biggest motivation, more than anything else. See, if this hall is going to be filled or not filled, then what would I do with all those songs? I mean, it has to reach people.
But there's something about, I think, that something drives you when you, the history of music. You want to go back to the roots or, dig through it. And
see, it's very simple, I'm sure there's somebody who's working in fashion design who goes back to the fashion of the 50s and tries to find out something from there to incorporate in the modern jeans or whatever it is. It's happening everywhere. Well, the smarter guys are slightly more successful because they're able to do it without, telling their secrets.
so we have a very smart Mr. Sanjay Subrahmanyan.
But by making me talk about it, you're ensuring that I can't be smart anymore. But the point is that, see, the thing is, I'm basically a curious guy by nature. My daughter hates riding on the car with me because every day I take a different route. She hates it, I just think maybe today this road will have less traffic. And it so happens that day there'll be something blocking the road and all that. So, but it's just my nature to, if you've read Linda Goodman, you'll probably believe that as an Aquarian, that's what I do. But apart from that, it's just that my nature looks out for a lot of curious things. And that curiosity by nature, I basically pushed it into my profession, that's all. So instead of being curious about too many things at the same time, I'd rather put those energies into my music so that at least I get out some songs and some pieces and we are able to share it with everybody.
So here's one more thing that Sri Sanjay Subrahmanyan is super curious about. I don't know how many of you know this, but he's heavily into board games. So I'm not talking about the Monopoly, the Sorry, the Clues of the world. That's so tame. He is an avid collector, a board gamer. And kids, if you're thinking of your whatever, Wii and Xbox, that's not what we're talking about, board games. And guess how many of them he's collected? And I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. According to the boardgamegeek.com, apparently there's a website, and he's pretty active on that. You have over 240 board games, 244 to be exact.
Those are the ones that I have cataloged. There are a few more lying in my suitcase now.
Oh my goodness.
Which I'll go back and add them.
Do you actually stack them in your house? You have them lined up?
See, my wife still doesn't know how many games I've got this time.
Okay, tell us where that fascination is coming from.
See, it's like this. I'll tell you, there is a theory that whatever you did up to the age of 15, you get back to after 25 years. A lot of us go through that, your childhood, and then you have to make money and ensure that your children get to school and all that, and then you have a little bit of spare time because your mortgage is kind of getting to the end, and then you have a little bit of time to do those things, and you remember what you did, including reading wild Western books or watching the movies that you saw when you were growing up. And board games were something that we played because those days there were no computers. So that was the only game we could play. And on a rainy day, that's the only thing we did.
So your daughter is still actively, does she play with you? Or?
Not only my daughter, I've got these two guys also to play with me.
So who wins? Who wins?
Well, he's been losing the last 3 games. That's why he made up for it in the concert today.
All right, so you strike me as a person who has a lot of passions, who loves communication, whether it's music or other medium. In fact, when the internet was in its early days...
I haven't written a book.
You haven't?
I haven't written a book.
You're getting there. You're getting there. So when the internet was in its early days, Sanjay Subrahmanyan was probably one of those early artists who kind of exploited the medium. He started his own website called sangeetam.com. It became a forum for people to engage, talk about Carnatic music, ask questions. It was excellent. I think you've also done some podcasts, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's dabbled in quite a bit, and he has admitted, according to his blog, he's a self-confessed shiny new object syndrome person. So what is your current passion beyond Carnatic music? We know board games. We know that you're crazy about cricket. But is there anything else when it comes to technology?
You're talking about specifically technology. I've sold my soul to Google. So, everything is Android now. So, but a friend of mine is threatening that Microsoft is coming back into the whole thing, but I'm not convinced. So until Google does something worse than what it's doing, I'm stuck with Android. So that's done with technology.
But beyond technology?
Beyond technology, I've been getting back to stamp collecting. So I want to do an exhibit on the Western music composer Bedřich Smetana from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, I see a book coming very soon.
Huh?
I see a book coming very soon.
No. This is only an exhibition. No books. No books. You need money to buy some of those items, so I don't have that much money. But this is just a, kind of a hobby, keeping myself occupied and doing a few things here and there. So that is my new
and your wife is totally comfortable with all your hobbies?
She better be. But she is. Thankfully, yes. She's very, very comfortable with this. Of course, she does complain a bit about space. So if my mortgage finishes earlier, then maybe.
All right, so we heard that Sanjay Subrahmanyan is a chartered accountant, and according to Wikipedia, let me read this right, a rank-holding cost
that
accountant.
is wrong. Somebody edit Wikipedia, please. I never got a rank in my CA.
Okay.
And it's high time somebody edited it, if there is somebody here who's...
All right, either ways, I'm guessing that's, the Tam Bram culture, have a backup career.
Absolutely.
But did you ever do any chartered accountant work at all?
Yes, I did. Of course I did. There are income tax officers' testimony. They've seen me in that building. And I can also get evidence from some bank managers and things like that. I've done audit. For 7 years, I worked in a firm called Kharra & Company. I was a partner there. And I used to go to office every day. I hated it every day. I was waiting for the first day to stop. And then one day, it just happened. And I told my office, I said, see, I can't come anymore. And of course, the biggest plus was the day I quit my CA, I got a call from my grandfather, who was a banker, retired banker. And he said, I heard that you have stopped your CA. So I said, yes. So he said, I'm very disappointed with you. I said, I'll show you something that will convince you that I took the right decision. He said, what is it? I'll show you my income tax return.
Good for you. So obviously, for somebody of your caliber to be at the stage where you are in your Carnatic music career, you need family support. So what's been your pillar? I mean,
my wife, obviously. I mean, she's been with me all along, given me the support, and ensures that things run smoothly at home so that I can go around with these guys and, you know,
play board games.
Exactly. But she's threatened to start the moment. She's been warning the children that very soon she will start traveling with me. So
Good.
I'm looking
You
forward.
should bring her along too.
Because there are a few 4-player games that work better with one more.
But I've truly seen your wife accompany you in several kacheris. The last one, I think I saw a video of the Kabalishwara Kovil kacheri too. I've even seen her play tambura for you in
In
one of the...
95, when I was on tour in the US, she played tambura in every concert. First tour when we came. But after that.
Interesting. So now that you have kids, right? A daughter and a son, do you have aspirations for them?
No.
Entering
No. I never fulfilled my dad's aspirations. No. No,
What did he
please.
aspire for you?
To be an engineer. You know what? I was telling somebody the story this morning. See, I had joined 11th standard commerce group, typical higher secondary. And the quarterly exam report card came, and dad looked at it, said, accountancy, commerce, economics. And physics, chemistry, la padikaliya.
The Indian mentality, right?
So I said, no, illa padikala. Enna pandra nee? Illa BCom mattu CA panna poren. Engineering la padikaliya? Seri po. By the way, my daughter wants to do CA, so.
She's going to fulfill your aspiration.
I would like it, but.
This question is actually it's coming all the way from Chennai. This is my mother-in-law's question, who's a huge fan of yours. She obviously saw your Kabalishwara Kol Kacheri, and apparently there's a big buzz. Everybody is talking about it. At least that's her friend circle, I'm guessing. But her question to you was, is there a difference when you perform at a temple versus an auditorium or a sabha or something like that?
There are cosmetic differences in the ambience, in the atmosphere, and things like that. So it matters, but the point is that we don't consciously think of it as any different. As musicians, we tend to try to, as much as possible, ensure that we sing the same wherever we sing. Some days, some audiences or some atmosphere can make you do a little better or a little more or a little different. I don't attribute it to any specific reason, but I would just say that, you go with the feel of some days you're just middling the ball, and that's it. Some days you're just beaten by everything. Cricketing analogy. Ramesh is there. So it's just that, And the next thing is that if you've scored 100 today, you can't think about it tomorrow. That's a new innings. So like I sang in Houston yesterday, but I can't keep thinking about that concert because today I have a job to do. So that way, every day you have to sit on stage and you have to start from scratch. There is nothing that's working in your favor. And from scratch, only when you start, it is a lot of effort. Some days it's good. It's on a good day, the effort is not as much. On a bad day, on a weak day, the effort is more. But that is what drives you. And it's all these people who sit there. Come on, you've heard for 3.5 hours and you still want to listen to me speak. That's motivation for me to come back and sing more. That's what it is, So that motivation is what drives us.
How would you rate today's performance from an audience perspective?
No, I don't. That's for us to discuss in the flight tomorrow.
If only one of us can travel on that flight, right? So, okay, this is a rapid fire round, okay? And you have to be pretty prompt with the answers and give a reason why.
Coffee with Anu mari pannirukka.
Adeda. So, okay, if you can choose another, well, I don't know whether we want to go there, but if you can choose another profession other than Carnatic music, what would it be?
Another profession? I would have been a cricketer. I would have loved to be a cricketer when I was younger. But beyond that,
Or be Harrison
Harrison
Ford.
Ford? No, that's only for the check.
But you've been called Shivaji too, right?
I don't know. Who called me that? You? No, I don't know.
If you can meet one person who's no longer with us, who would you want to meet?
Tiger Vardacharya.
Why?
Because my guru learned from him and the stories that he said about Tiger, the way he used to sing. அதாவது வர்ணம் பாடுறச்ச வர்ணம் வரணுமா அப்படிம்பறான். I mean, just listening to that figure and the way he said it itself is so fascinating. He is one man I would have liked to see.
And if you can meet somebody famous today, anybody, any continent, whatever, who would it be and why?
Today. Can't. Maybe Rajinikanth. Sachin Tendulkar, definitely. Sachin Tendulkar, yes.
Okay, since you mentioned Sachin Tendulkar, I was not planning to go there anyway, but since you did and you mentioned cricket a couple of times, I'll go there. So I read one of your cricket blogs where you mentioned, where you talked about greatness in cricket, right? What it takes to be great, and and all the stuff that was going on with Sachin Tendulkar. Wasn't that your blog?
I don't remember, but you can.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, you talked about what it takes to be great in the field of cricket. So what if we were to ask the same question, what does it take to be great in Carnatic music?
I mean, hard work, primarily. Primarily, everybody who has been rated or valued as great have all worked very, very, very hard. I mean, there is no shortcut, absolutely. They have worked very hard. Yes, some may have been a little bit more lucky than the others. But that's another issue. I'm not going there. But they've all worked very, very hard. And they have been extremely disciplined in the practice of their profession. I mean, these two things are very, very vital.
And I think that leads us to our last question, which is almost the same note as that, which is we have a bunch of kids here who learn Carnatic vocal, violin, other percussion instruments. So what is your piece of advice to those kids?
See, I'll tell you something. When I was 7 or 8 or 12 or 13, I never in my life thought I'll be a Carnatic musician. I hated going to music class. I never practiced at home. My mother thought she wasted money by giving fees to the teacher for making me learn the violin. I'm being very frank, okay? But those 7 years that I learned music was something that helped me, because when I was 16, there was a change in my mind. It was because of that 7 years and not anything else. If I had not learned music at all, things would have been very different. I would have been sitting outside the income tax officer negotiating a deal. But I didn't do it because, so to that extent, what I can tell you is that if you are learning music, yeah, sometimes it's okay. I mean, you're going twice a week, thrice a week, it's all right. But at some point of time, you will find a lot of happiness, a lot of peace in just singing or listening to music. Art sensitivity to art itself is the biggest thing that we can have. And as artists, we are extremely grateful to society for allowing us to practice this art form. Sambangudi Srinivasi told me once, he said, Sangeetangartha anavasyathila sethi. That is, music is not part of the bare necessities of life. So once people take care of their basic necessities, only then they have time for art. So if artists are allowed to actually practice a profession, it speaks about the fact that the society is doing well and they're allowing us to do it, and we are always grateful for that.
Thank you very much for that. So with that, we wrap up our person behind the persona interview.